Hi guys, welcome to Redneck Brewing. I'm Redneck. Let's get to brewing. Alright, today I'm going to be showing you my method for all grain brewing, which I do brew in a bag. I do a little bit differently than everybody else, so maybe you can learn something new. Also, I'm going to show you how to make some southern sweet tea. Now today we are going to be brewing a more beer all grain kit. It's a blonde ale kit using US 05. Very simple recipe to make. Me and my buddies, we're all going camping and hiking and fishing here at the end of April. I'm making this for that trip. Very simple recipe. It's got 9 pounds of 2-row malt. It's got 8 ounces of Crystal 15. It's using Willamette hops. It's using 1 ounce of Willamette hops. But I've got another half an ounce of one I add into it that I had left over from a previous brew. I'm going to use that up. And of course the kit also comes with your bottling sugar, which I'm not going to use because I keg. It also comes with your Warflock tablet also. We're going to be using that. But to start off with, I think we're going to start off with making a sweet tea. The first step in making sweet tea is collecting your water and bringing it to a boil. In our case, we're bringing half a gallon or 8 cups of water up to a boil. After the boil, we're going to add our tea packs. This is just Lipton light tea packs, and we're going to let them steep in the water after we cut the heat off for about 10 minutes. Now for the secret of southern sweet tea, a lot of sugar added while it's hot. Make sure you stir it in nice and good, get it all dissolved in there. Now for the last step of sweet tea making, we're going to take our hot tea that we just added the sugar to, we're going to pour it over some ice. There you go, southern sweet tea at its finest. Now y'all may have remembered the videos that I put on there a couple of days ago about me filtering beer. I want to show you that beer because, well, you can't make homebrew without drinking some homebrew. But this is an Irish Red Ale from More Beer. This is their kit. Come out to being about 4.5% alcohol. Pours nice, has a nice hot nose to it. Can't really see because it's darker in here, but it is nice and clear. That's good stuff. Alright guys, the next thing I want to talk to you about is the grain bag that I use for my brewing process. Now normally you go to the supply and you order you a brew in the bag and they run anywhere from $20 to $30. I don't use one of those, and I have successfully for the past 2 years used these. These are just regular paint strainer bags that you can go to any hardware store and pick up. I can get 2 of these for $3. 2 of them last me probably about a year, which is about, you know what, a quarter of the price, and you get the same result out of it. One of the other things that I do that's a little bit different is when I'm doing my saccharification rest, how I hold my temperature, I actually take this whole mess and I throw it in the oven. And I have my oven set, you see it, at 170 degrees. Now it says 170 degrees, but my oven's just a little bit off. And it actually holds it at 155 degrees perfect. The other thing that I do, most saccharification rests are just an hour. I actually go an hour and a half. The reason being is with this particular method, if I only went an hour, I was only getting about 60 to 65% efficiency in my grain conversion. Once I kicked it up to an hour and a half, I got up to 75% efficiency, and I'm able to hold to exactly how this recipe is made. Strike water has reached its temperature of 165. Now we're going to lose 10 degrees once we add our grain to it to get us down to our rest temperature of 155. So let's mash in. Now the biggest thing about mashing in an all grain is just making sure that you don't have any dough balls. The problem with dough balls is the water doesn't have the chance to get around it and convert that starch over to sugar. So you want to take care at this point to make sure that you get all the grain stirred in as well as you can to make sure that you don't have any dough balls. Now obviously as you add more grain to this, you're going to have more and more resistance. So it's going to be increasingly harder the more grain that there is to get all the dough balls worked out. That's when you need to start slowing how much grain you put in there. Down just a little bit and go just a little bit slower. The more attention to detail that you do in home brewing, in any form of home brewing, the better your final product's going to be. Alright, last bag. We're getting there. There's a little bit more mixing to go. Looking good to me. Time for our saccharification rest. Now after I put the grain in for the saccharification rest, the next thing I do is I put the rest of my water in the freezer. The reason I do that is it's to help me reach my cold break a lot quicker. I can normally drop my bowl down from a bowl down to about 80 degrees in about, I don't know, about 7 to 8 minutes, which greatly helps with chill haze. So let's put these guys in the freezer. The other thing that I did before we started is I used some pre-boiled water and I put them in here to freeze. Now whenever I take my brew off the boil, I put it into a ice bath, and I'll take these and I'll drop them down inside of it to again reduce my temperature a lot quicker. Okay, we're back. We've made it through the hour and a half rest. So now it's time to wash our grains. I've got our sparge water up to 180 degrees, and all I'm going to do now is just scoop it out and pour it in over the grain to wash the remaining sugar out of the grain. This is my secret to higher efficiency with all grain. The other thing that you can do when you go to your brew supplier, if you let them know that you're doing all grain, brew in a bag, you can actually have them get a much finer grain because you don't have to worry about a stuck sparge. And you can kick your efficiencies up by having a finer grind on your grain. Now I simply have my grain bag sitting inside of a colander that's suspended over the brew kettle. We started out with 3 gallons of water. We added our grains to it. During the rest, we lost about a gallon to the grains. And now we're adding back a gallon with the sparge water. So it's going to bring up our water capacity, or liquid capacity, back up to 3 gallons. I'm a hopaholic. I love the smell of hops. Here, have a sniff. Alright, now it's time for our hop addition. On this particular brew, we've only got 1 hop addition, so it's going to be pretty easy. Now, one trick that I have learned in my few years of brewing is wait until you get your hop break done before you add your hops to keep from having a boil over. Let's get this bowl going. Alright, we've reached the last 5 minutes of the boil. It's time to add a Warflock tablet. So simply just dropping it in. If you don't use Warflock, it's a wonderful clarifier. It works great. It's almost a have-to thing for all grain to get your beer anywhere near clear in any amount of time at all. Show you what I've done. I've got my water here waiting for my water bath. I've got my ice cubes in there. The water's nice and cold. I've also got my chilled water out and ready to go. As soon as I pull the pot off of the boil, I'm going to add my chilled water, and then I've got ice cubes I'm going to drop down in there. We should be able to drop it from boiling to about 75 to 80 degrees. I pitch around 75 to 80 degrees. Should be able to drop it, in a matter of about 10 minutes or so. Like I said before, we're using US-05 yeast, very good clean yeast, going to give us some really nice clean flavors in this beer. So it should be something good and fun to have on our camping trip. Alright, here in about 30 seconds, we're going to reach flame out. What we're going to do, I'm going to pull the pot off the stove. I'm going to throw it in the ice water. I've got some ice cubes that I showed you before. I'm going to drop down into it. 15 seconds. It's amazing how the last 30 seconds of any boil is the longest. Alright. One thing you want to make sure you do, if you're going to be stirring your brew, make sure you drop your spoon in before the end of the boil. The water that I used for this was sanitized. The cups are sanitized. My hands are clean, so I'm not going to have any infection coming from the ice. Now that we got the ice in there, let's add some of our chilled water. This water should be just right at freezing. Give it a good stir. I like to gauge how the temperature is dropping by putting my thumb on the edge of the pot, my hand in the water. The temperature of the water changing, getting warmer as the heat is coming out of the brew. Take me for longer. Dunk it down here in the sanitizer for a minute. My guess is we're somewhere around 120 right now. It's like about 115 degrees Fahrenheit. By the time I put this in my fermenting bucket, I add 1 more gallon of water and then top it off until I hit my 5 gallon mark. Should drop me down to about 80 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which is my pitching temperature. Alright, here we are at the end of another successful brew day. The directions for more beers say I should be at 1.044 to 1.048. I'm at 1.041, 1.042. But anyway, when I got done topping off the water in my fermenter, I was sitting right at 80 degrees. So I'm going to pitch my yeast here in just a few minutes and put my airlock on there and let her go for at least 7 days before I move it from primary into secondary. And looking forward to my trip in April. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Thank you for watching. Anyway, have a good one and God bless.